Let's talk about strategies you can use while answering interview questions. We'll talk about the most common interview question in America. Tell me about yourself. We'll also talk about the STARR method, which you can use for behavioral interview questions. Having a plan for how you'll answer Tell me about yourself can help your interview start off on the right foot. You can also use this framework when you're introducing yourself at a career fair or a networking event. Your answer doesn't need to include these components, but you should make sure you focus on details that relate to your ability to do the position, such as your skills, accomplishments, or experiences, and not personal details like pets, family relationships, or hobbies. Some of the things you could include would be first to talk about the present. So these are things that you're doing right now. It likely includes your major, your institution, and your year or when you expect to graduate. You'll also want to include some things from your past. So include 2 or 3 of your most relevant experiences and share how they relate to the opportunity that you're interviewing for. So this could include jobs, volunteering, co-curriculars, classes, and we also want to include one related skill that you learned from each one. Look at the job description for ideas about what skills you may want to highlight. Finally, wrap up your answer by sharing a little bit about the future. You could summarize how your background relates to the job, or you could explain what you're hoping to do next or why you're interested in this opportunity. Here's an example of what this could look like when you put it all together. So we can see they're sharing that they're a business administration major at MSUM, some of their experiences during college, like being a co-president of DECA and having an internship with Fargo Force, and they're also sharing how this relates to the job they're interviewing in the future by talking about how they're looking for someone with leadership and marketing experience. They also could say a little bit more about their experiences in that middle section and perhaps even add a third experience to talk about. Now that you've seen what this looks like, try it out. Grab a piece of paper, plan out what you might say for present, past, and future, and then practice sharing it out loud. The more often you say it, the easier it will be to share it in that real interview situation because it will just become a habit. Aim for your answer to be around 2 minutes long. Next, let's talk about how to answer behavioral interviewing questions. So remember, these are questions where they're trying to learn about your past behavior to be able to predict how you'll act in the future. These are those questions that start with, tell me about a time, or describe a situation when. Now, this framework will help ensure that you're giving the employer all of the different details that they need to have confidence in your skills. So we use the acronym STARR, and that stands for situation, task, action, result, and relate. So situation means describing the event or situation you were in. Was this a job, a class, an internship? Give them that context for the situation. Next is task. What was it that you were supposed to do? Next is action. Describe the specific actions you took to complete the task. The first R is for relate. What were the results of your efforts? And then the last R is for relate. What did you learn? Connect the big picture to the position that you're applying for. So here's an example of what it could look like to use the STARR method. So let's say the question was, tell me about a time you failed. For situation, they would share about earning a grade in their first semester of college that they were disappointed in. For the task, they talked about how they wanted to earn an A on the next exam and be able to comprehend the information. For the action, they began to review their notes, meet with their professor, create flashcards. For the result, they earned an A on the next exam and have been satisfied with their academic achievement since then and have made Dean's List every semester. And then since this person wants to go into teaching, they related it to their future work by talking about how it will help them as a teacher because they learned how to teach themselves, manage their time, be persistent, and how it also gave them a sense of empathy for students who are failing and about to give up. Now you try it. So go ahead and pick an interview question. So maybe one of these tell me about a time questions. Pick a different skill that you would need for maybe a future job you would have. And then jot out some notes for a STAR story. So plan out some ideas of what you might say for each part, and then practice delivering your answer. And again, we want to keep that answer length to be around 2 minutes long.